Okay, so the UN Security Council is looking to punish North Korea. Okay, great. But the North Korea hydrogen era is apparently here, and slapping a new and improved travel ban on Kim Jong-un will do little, if anything. So how does this development affect the region and our allies? And what about China? What role is theirs in all of this? And how about Iran? Aren't they watching this with bated breath? Joining me now from our bureau in Washington, D.C., chairman and founder of the Missile Defense Advocacy Alliance, Riki Ellison. Riki, seems a significant event, what has transpired, whatever transpired in North Korea. If it is indeed a hydrogen bomb, obviously that is a game changer. Apparently, from what we're hearing, this is also, whatever it was, a smaller warhead, which is significant, and maybe you can explain exactly why. But it also shows a continued aggressive stance from this rogue communist state.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a clear intent of North Korea to be able to threaten the United States of America, Japan, and Korea. This is the fourth test they've had over probably about 6 or 7 years. This is the third test they've had, a nuclear-type test of a 4.1 to 5.1 on the earthquake scale. And this demonstrates clearly that they are evolving their warhead, they're miniaturizing their warhead, and being able to become very close, or if not already, having to be able to put those on their ballistic missiles. And they have lots of them, short range, medium range, and they are working on the long range ballistic missiles. So this is definitely a real threat to the region, to the instability of the region.
So would we be correct in saying that even if it wasn't a hydrogen bomb that they tested, the significance is such because it is a smaller, potentially smaller warhead that can fit on a missile that could hit, say, for example, Japan?
Absolutely, or South Korea. So it is a continued evolution of those tests that they've already done, and you have to test these weapons to miniaturize them to be able to put them on the reentry vehicles on the platforms and the ballistic missiles that they do have. And I think you're going to see a chain reaction, certainly from Japan and South Korea, to be able to deal with this. This is a very serious issue with those countries. When
most Americans talk about atomic weapons versus hydrogen, I think most Americans probably don't know the difference. Fission versus fusion, of course, but one is much more powerful than the other. Can you explain a little bit?
Sure. The atomic bomb, you split a single atom, so that's a fission. And a hydrogen bomb, you add 2 or 3 or multiple atoms and you fuse them together. So obviously the hydrogen bomb is much, much more powerful than the atomic bomb.
Okay, so for example, from what I've been reading is the bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki. I think that the hydrogen bomb that we tested shortly after World War II ended was maybe 1,000 times more powerful. I mean, it's significantly more powerful, correct?
Absolutely, yes, because you have a chain of adding lots of atoms to that explosion.
Okay. China. What is the role of China in all this? And from what I read, of course, North Korea is a puppet, if you will, of China. Certainly they are allies. Does China have a role in all this?
Well, I think they're enabling this current situation. They're enabling North Korea to be able to do this. They certainly could certainly help and most likely stop the situation if it was in their best interest. They still want to have a buffer state between South Korea and us. You know, we're still in armistice. We still have a major force there in South Korea, but their intent will always to have a buffer zone between South Korea and China, and they're going to put whoever's in there, they're going to keep that and enable that there, I think, forever.
So we now understand that North Korea might have somewhere between 20 and 100 nuclear warheads. In China, however, as we have been disarming our nuclear arsenal, I mean, we, the United States, short and intermediate range type nuclear weapons, China has been on a proliferation wagon here over the last several decades of producing more and more nuclear weapons. So one would imagine that what they are doing in China, they are also sharing with in North Korea. In other words, the technology.
Well, I think the link is much more towards Iran and Korea That's the link. That's where I think they've got most of their information and technology. And you'll see in these tests that they'll have Iranian scientists over here, and they've had North Korean scientists over in Iran. That's the big flow. I think China still enables that flow to happen. China's missile defense proliferation, nuclear weapon proliferation, is regional. So they are building capabilities to stand off the United States Navy, the 7th Fleet, our aircraft carriers, and in that region to push us back. They are not proliferating in terms of the bigger strategic viewpoint of having MIRVed and multiple. They're not at the Russia scale of things in terms of weapons on missiles, nuclear weapons on missiles.
22 years ago, then President Clinton, the 42nd President of the United States, came forward and said he had an agreement with North Korea that what we are seeing right now would never happen. It's happening. Last year, we had Barack Obama come out and offer us an almost identical speech regarding Iran. 20 years from now, where do you think we're going to be with Iran and nuclear weapons?
Well, I think the whole problem stems back to President Clinton when he made those claims and we didn't do anything about it. And then the North Koreans flew their first ballistic missile over Japan. Rumsfeld put that act in 1999 with Congress. Bill Clinton did not withdraw from the treaty. We had to sign an ABM treaty that we were not, as a country, allowed to defend ourselves. President Bush came in next, and we broke that treaty. We got out of that treaty to start building the capabilities that we have today. And today we have a capability now to be able to deal with a very limited number of ballistic missiles with warheads. But we cannot deal with a MIRV capability or multiple capabilities much more than what we've seen today. So there is a tremendous issue whether we have to change our technologies to be able to do this cheaper and do directed energy laser weapons, or we do electromagnetic weapons to be able to reduce the cost curve and be more effective. And this goes again back up into space, perhaps, is where the best place is to be able to direct that type of fight.
Well, it seems as though North Korea is a preamble here in a script that's being written right now as we speak by the Iranian regime. Riki, thank you for joining us.